everyone. So I have to tell you, I'm a little nervous about making my very first video, especially a video of me reading one of my favorite books. But before I start, I just wanted to tell you that Miss Quiddiche, Miss Wosterdowski, and I, we miss you all so much, and we're so excited that we get to share our favorite stories with you over the next few weeks, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we do. We are really looking forward to being able to see you back when everything gets figured out, and we hope that you will return all of the work so that we can see everything that you've been doing and make sure that you're ready for first grade. Okay, so my story is Duck and Goose. It's by Tad Hills, and he is the illustrator and the author. So he wrote all the words, we know that, and we also know that an illustrator is the person who draws the pictures. So Tad Hills is clearly very talented, almost like Mrs. Yang. So this is a really good story about friendship and problem solving, and just a good way to kind of figure out who you are and how to be kind. So let's get started. Duck and Goose. I can peek and see if you guys can see it. All right, there we go. Oh my, what is that? Duck quacked. That's a silly question, Goose honked. It's a big egg, of course. Of course it's an egg, I know that, huffed Duck. What I mean is, where did it come from? Goose looked skyward. He looked to the river. He looked to the fields. He thought very hard. Who are you? He asked finally. They're super cute, that goose and that duck. I, said Duck, puffing out his feathered chest, am the one whose egg this is. I saw it first. Goose quickly raised one webbed foot. It's mine. I touched it first. Hey, you should never put your dirty foot on an egg, Duck scolded. Don't you know anything about caring for eggs? Yes, I do, Goose cried out. Stop yelling, Duck yelled, then whispered forcefully, don't you know that you and your screaming are very likely disturbing the baby bird who is trying to take a snooze inside this egg? Goose wished that Duck wasn't right. He lowered his head and whispered softly, I'm very sorry. Go back to sleep in there. Look how cute they are, whispering to that egg. And I know that many of you have little ducks and chickens at your own house, so you know exactly how to take care of little eggs. My, that's quite a beauty you have, called a bluebird from across the river. Thank you. It's mine, quacked Duck. Actually, it's mine, honked Goose. Thank you. So, asked Duck, what do we do now? We should do something, suggested Goose. Yes, you are right. Good thinking, agreed Duck. Like what? Duck and Goose each thought. So let's look at their signs and see what they're thinking. So first, they're thinking, they built a fence around it, and they're thinking, this egg is private property. Then this one says, duck's egg. So you know who wrote that sign. This one says, no geese allowed. And you can see who's doing the thinking here, our friend Duck. So do you see with the little bubbles? That's telling us that this is what he's thinking. And so he's imagining having built the fence and written all these signs. And then it says, no honking, $5 fine. And then let's look at our friend Goose. So he's thinking, here's his little bubbles. And he's thinking, if you are a duck, keep walking. Says, no ducks beyond this point. Quiet, please. Absolutely no quacking in this area. So they've kind of got a problem, and they need to work on some problem solving here, don't they? Maybe they need to work on compromising. Has anybody ever heard that big word, compromise? You can say it with me. Compromise. Compromise is a word that means trying to come to a solution that works for everybody. So sometimes when you compromise, you might not get everything you want, but you might get the stuff that's important to you. So everybody kind of gives a little, and then you come to an agreement that works for everyone. Not everybody gets their way, but everybody's happy because everybody gets a little bit of something. So let's see what they do. I want you to think about what kind of compromises. Think about it. I'm going to think about it. What kind of compromises could they be making about sharing this egg? All right, let's see what happens. Well, we must keep the egg warm until the fuzzy little occupant is ready to come out, said Goose. Excellent idea, exclaimed Duck. He pushed past Goose. Step aside, and I shall do just that. But Goose was quick, too. These are my favorite pages. After a flurry of fussing, grunting and groaning, slipping and sliding, honking and quacking, like you can't tell who's who. The only way you can tell is by the black and the orange, right? Duck and Goose found themselves back to back. Scoot over, I don't have any room, complained Duck. You are much closer to me than I am to you. Stop yelling in my ear, Goose. Shh, Goose hushed, pointing at the round thing beneath them. Yes, we must remember. Quiet, quiet, quiet. We mustn't disturb this little one. And so they sat very still and very quiet, waiting. For a long time they waited. Oh my goodness. So they're going to have to not just work on compromise, but work on patience, right? They listened to the crickets chirp and the frogs burp. I am going to teach this baby bird to quack like a duck, said Duck, boasting. Well, I am going to teach it to honk like a goose, Goose honked back. I'm going to teach this baby bird to waddle, Goose added. So am I, Duck said. Ooh, do they maybe have something in common there? Waddling? They heard the pitter-patter of the rain. I'm going to teach this baby bird to swim, Duck said. Me too, Goose said. To pass the time, they sniffed wildflowers in the warm sun, shared breadcrumbs while Goose taught Duck to honk. They watched the sun set in the sky, and Duck taught Goose to quack. So it seems like they might be working on not just compromise, but being friends. They counted the stars in the night sky. Let's teach our baby to fly, said Goose. Good idea, said Duck. I'm sure our baby will be a fast learner, said Duck. If it takes after you and me, I'm sure you're right, agreed Duck. Do you notice what happened on this page? They went from talking about the baby being just theirs to talking about it taking after both of them. So they've really changed their thinking, and all it took was spending time together and getting to become friends, right? Together they waited until... Did you feel that, Duck? Duck nodded. Yes. Did you feel that, Goose? Goose nodded. It's time, Goose. It's time, Duck squawked. Oh my goodness, they're getting very excited. Quickly, let's turn the page. Quickly, Duck slid down and started running in circles around their egg. What should we do now? What should we do now? He hollered. Well, it seems like they're not being very calm right now. I think we should remain calm, Goose yelled back. Excuse me, a little voice called out. Excuse me. Uh-oh, let's see what this little voice is. Oh, here we go, Missy's working it out. Duck stopped. In all the exciting confusion, Duck had failed to notice the bluebird kicking their egg. Kicking their egg. Can I play too? She asked. Play. Play? This is no time for play, yelled Duck. This is no time for games, yelled Goose. And what's with the kicking? I was only trying to get your attention. Well, you got it, Duck huffed. False alarm! Goose, back to work. Can't you see we are very busy here? Goose explained to the bluebird. This is serious business. This is perhaps the most important business and moment of our lives. Oh my, I am sorry, apologized the bluebird. I had no idea. I just thought that maybe I could play with your ball. It really is a nice one, she added, and then she flew away. What? Goose gulped. Did she say ball? He whispered to Duck. Duck stopped. Sorry. You know, I did have my doubts, Duck finally said. It is a bit squishier than most eggs I've seen. Yes, and I must say I was somewhat suspicious of those big dots, Goose admitted. It may not be an egg, but it is lovely, said Duck. Oh, absolutely, Duck, Goose agreed. It's a keeper. Just a second, my dog is barking. Shh. As the crickets chirped, the frogs burped, and the grass swayed in the gentle breeze, Goose quacked and Duck honked, and the ball bounced, rolled, and sometimes even flew. All right, so that is the end of Duck and Goose. So what I want you to think about is, I want you to think about your favorite part of the book. My favorite part is when they're fighting for position on the ball, when they think it's an egg, and it's just like a big jumble. But I also love the part when they realize that they have so much in common, like the swimming and the honking, and just the fact that they care so much. So they have a lot in common. But I also love the little bluebird is the one that figures it out for them. So the next book that I will be reading will be, this is one of my other very favorites, the Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. This pig totally cracks me up. Anyway, so work on this week's reading. Next week we'll have the next videos up, and we might even throw in a few just for fun and entertainment. So I hope you guys are doing well. Please be sure you can send me videos on Facebook or through email. I would just love to see you all. I kind of miss my babies. All right, kids, take care and happy reading.